Hello, this is Bishop Wraith with the Blue Lions. I'm here today to teach you how to download, install, and configure your Teamspeak 3 client to communicate with the Teamspeak 3 server for the Blue Lions, to use our own personal voice server to do all of our squad and platoon organization and outfit meetings, all of that stuff. So the first thing we're going to do is, this is what a blank Teamspeak client looks like, but to get there we need to go to teamspeak.com. If you go to teamspeak.com, there's a drop down here, Products Teamspeak 3. That brings us to this page. You're going to click Download, and I guarantee if you're playing PlanSide 2, you're running on a 64-bit system. So what you want to do is download the client 64-bit. Just drop it in here. It's going to start downloading it. I'm going to go ahead and cancel this because this is just like any other app you've ever installed. You're going to let it finish downloading. You're going to run it. Go ahead and let it install with the default settings. And then from there, you'll be able to open it. And once you open it, it's going to look like this. So here's TeamSpeak. You're not inside of a channel or anything. The first thing you want to do is to go to Bookmarks. And then we're going to want to manage bookmarks. And that's going to bring up a list of TeamSpeak servers that you can communicate on. And by default, it will have the general TeamSpeak server, which is a server that TeamSpeak, the company, actually runs and gives everybody by default. So you can jump in there, and there's hundreds of people in there and hundreds of channels. It's just kind of a lobby for new members to go into. But the Blue Lions don't use that. What we want to do is go down here to Add Bookmark, and we'll create a new bookmark. And it'll start out saying new server and new dude. What you want to do is go ahead and name this. You can say like Blue Lions. And since I already have a Blue Lions up there, I'm going to hit Blue Lions 2. And then we're going to set up our nickname. Your nickname needs to be your in-game name. So for me, that's Bishop Wraith. The reason we need that to match your in-game name exactly is for the same reason we need it to match the your registration on the forums. We need to be able to verify that the person who's on our TeamSpeak server is the same person who's logged into the forums and has an account on the ncbluelions.com, and then is also the same person that's in game. This will let us invite you to squads quickly by typing your name out in game. It'll let us do administrative tasks on the forums and give you permissions to different areas that you might need. And it'll also let us, if there's any trouble, let us know who we're actually talking to. So it is an outfit requirement that this matches your in-game name. You may see some people will have something like this in front of their name. That is basically officer stripes. For me, that means Judge Advocate General. I'm kind of the rules lawyer. If you find yourself in trouble or questioning if what somebody else has done violates our code of conduct, I'm the person who mediates those type of disputes. As a new member, you won't need this, because all new members start out as Blue Lions members, so there's no rank for that. The next thing we won't need to do is put in a server nickname or address. We actually have a web address that resolves to our TeamSpeak server, and that is simply teamspeak3.ncbluelions.com:9988. So that's ts3.ncbluelions.com:9988. And then the default password, you're going to be able to get that in-game from the person who recruited you, any member. Once you're registered in the forums and given permissions to our members-only area, you can find the TeamSpeak password there. It's a pretty simple password. I'm not going to give it here for matters of security. The reason we want our TeamSpeak server passworded, even if it's not a super secure password, is that so people who aren't members don't have the password. Of course, forum members have it, but what we're really trying to avoid are hackers who don't know anything about us coming on the TeamSpeak channel, TeamSpeak server, and using some sort of exploit and getting control of our TeamSpeak server. It's happened in the past. This is a way to help prevent that. So once you have your bookmark name, your nickname, your server address, and server password put in, you can click apply, and it's saved in your bookmarks. So what we can do from there is click bookmarks, and then here's the list of bookmarks I've got. I'm just going to go ahead and click on Blue Lions 2.
Connected.
It's going to log me into the server. As a new member, over here it'll have this yellow cautionary bubble type sign that says new. What you'll find is that there's two things true of a new member. The first thing is that somebody who is new is not going to be able to move themselves into any of these other channels. They're also not going to be able to talk. And there's two things that have to happen in order to resolve that. The first thing in order to talk is you're going to have to set up a push to talk button. And so how we'll do that is we'll go to Tools, Options. Under Options, we'll select Capture. And then over here, we'll set it to push to talk. We'll click on this button here. It'll ask for a hotkey combination that can be anything like Control-Alt-S, whatever you want it to be. However, you're going to be using this while you're in game, so I highly recommend a single button that you do not use for other things, such as mouse button 4 is a thumb button on my mouse. So I'll click that. Now, anytime I push that mouse button 4, which I don't use for anything else, it'll let me talk on Teamspeak. So while I'm holding that button down, other people can hear me. The moment I release it, they cannot hear me. That lets us do a lot of things. The main thing is you have to think about pushing the button in order to communicate, which cuts down on the amount of talking overall that happens, because we want you to be able to hear orders. We want you to be able to relay information to your squad members, your platoon members, and so we don't want to hear, you know, the argument that your mom and your brother are having or anything like that. So that's why we use push to talk. It also makes you think about what you're going to say, and we are a mature outfit, and by mature we mean not that we use mature language, but that we are mature enough to monitor our usage of mature language, amongst other things. And so by requiring you to do push to talk, that'll allow you to cuss under your breath, then push the button and tell your squad what happened. You know, we want to avoid any accidental dropping of the F-bomb, anything like that. If you're like me, I cuss a lot in my daily life, but I don't cuss on the Teamspeak server. And having that push to talk button really helps me with that. So once I've got that done, I can hit OK, and voila, I have a push to talk button. I can talk to people. The next thing that's going to have to happen is a member, a sergeant or above, needs to see that you're in Teamspeak, that you're up here and you've got a new member next to your name, and hey, you can't move around. You can't get down in the squad to talk to anybody. You can go look for anybody who has a rank on their name and right-click on them, and you can poke them and type in, hey, I'm a new member. If you click OK, it's going to pop up on their screen that they've got a poke from you and what it says. And that way you can be like, hey, I'm up here, pay attention to me. I need you to give me my Blue Lions icon, this blue icon right here. So they'll do that. And so once you have a push to talk button set up and you have a Blue Lions icon, you are ready to rock and roll. You can move yourself down into one of the squad channels. Squad Alpha on Platoon 1's our default area that people play in. Not a lot of people on right now, but another thing you'll notice is you won't actually see anybody until you've been given rights. So you'll be able to see up here, but you won't be able to see down here. So once that's set up, the only other thing we might cover is let's go into whisper lists. As a new member, you won't have to use these a lot, but it's really good to use for the purpose of, let's say, gunners and drivers. And you're driving around in Vanguard, you're a gunner and driver. Your squad doesn't really need to know what you're telling your driver or gunner what the target is, but your gunner or driver certainly do. So we'll set up a new whisper, and how we'll do that is we'll click this new button down here, and then we're going to choose another button that we're going to use to communicate. And in this instance, for example, I'll use F10. Okay, so that's now says F10. That warning was only up there because this was loaded before I deleted the previous one, but it shows F10 as my hotkey. You'll have options here, clients and channels or groups. We want to whisper to a client because we're talking about the Teamspeak client on your gunner or driver's computer. We're then going to go down to Blue Lions 2, or this will say Blue Lions for you, whatever you named your server. And then we'll go down to clients, and this will list everybody who's currently on the server. Let's say I want to set up a whisper to, let's say I'm not Bishop Wraith, I'll whisper to myself, but pretend this is your gunner. You just click and drag him over here. We've got a button set up, we hit apply, there you go. Now anytime I hold down F10 and talk, it'll whisper to my gunner driver. And then they can set one up back to me. They can set up a whisper and whisper back to me. And then we click OK, and we're set up. So that concludes the basic Teamspeak tutorial. We have shown where to go get Teamspeak, how to download it, install it, configure it, and how to use whispers. For additional information, go to ncbluelions.com and check out the forums. We'll have some additional tutorials coming out on that, ways to set up more complex whispers, how to set up whispers to various server groups, all of that fun stuff, and maybe even possibly in the future some etiquette guides on how to communicate in the expected communication format for a quote-unquote paramilitaristic organization, because we like to get into the game and role play that we actually are an armed force fighting in this war, and using tactical communication really helps that along. So thanks for watching, and I hope this was helpful.